Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Paige and thank you for watching. Subscribe below if you like any of my stuff, and here we go. So I know I didn't post a video yesterday for the 5th day of Vlogmas, but in reality I really don't have much going on, so I'm just doing house stuff, and that's not really vlog worthy, I don't think. So I'm gonna keep up vlogs for most of December because there are things I really want to catch for like my future self, like looking back and be like, oh wow, this happened during this time, oh my gosh. But I'm not gonna want to look back and watch me cleaning my house. You know, so, and I'm pretty sure no one else really wants to watch that either. If they do, then comment down below, I guess, and I'll start doing that for you, but I don't think anyone really wants to see that. Today I'm going to do the 50 things about myself tag. Yeah, so here we go. I am 5'9½", and I actually really like my height. I used to hate it. Sometimes I really get agitated by it because a lot of actor guys are shorter, and so it's hard for me to be cast as someone's opposite because they're short and I'm like a foot taller than them. Normally not that big, but it sure feels like that much taller. But I used to hate it. Like in middle school dances, when everyone's like jumping up and down, I would pretend to be jumping up and down because when they're jumping up and down, they're finally my height, and so I'd feel awkward if I was like looming on over them. But now I'm like, I'm gonna jump if I want to jump, you know? I have one brother. Sunflowers are my favorite flower. Sunflowers and orchids, probably. Because sunflowers are just so happy, and whenever I see it, I just like start smiling. So that's why sunflowers are my favorite flower. I am a very messy person. I have been for who knows how long, and I have tried to become a clean, organized person, but it never sticks. In early high school, I started a blog called Anonymously Violet because the person I wrote as, their name was Violet, and I didn't want anyone to know who I was, so it was Anonymously Violet. Very creative, I know. Wow, what a creative gal I was. So I bruise like a peach. I go outside, I come back in, and I have a new bruise from who knows what. I kind of like when food is slightly burnt. I know that's odd, but I like the taste of it and I like the texture of it. You know, we all have our weird things, and that's one of my weird things, is I like food that's slightly burnt. So one reason I do YouTube is because I love editing. I think I started editing in high school when I did music for dances that I had to do. And I realized I really liked it because I would find new ways to find the music more interesting or make it more interesting and all that kind of stuff. And then I started doing videos. I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm not the best at it by any means, but it's enjoyable and I like doing it, and I like finding new creative things to do with it. So yeah. My first job was at Dairy Queen, and that lasted 3 years. I am a very empathetic person. I don't really ever relate to people's experiences that much, but if they're upset about something, I literally feel it in my bones and I start feeling sad as if I had gone through it. And yeah, so if you're crying, I'll probably cry with you. Don't think it's weird. It's just who I am, and I can't turn it off. I have driven across the country with my family 13 times before the age of 14. I might be one off. It might have been like 12 before 14 and then one after, but I believe it was 13 before 14. Yeah. I have fallen off a ski lift. I've never broken a bone. Pit bulls and pit bull mixes are my favorite breed of dog, hands down. No one convinced me otherwise. That is my favorite dog ever. That's why I love going to animal shelters, because they're all pits, but it's also like you don't want to go to animal shelters because it makes you sad because you realize how many of these dogs don't have homes, and that's a whole different rant for a whole different thing. But yeah, pits are my favorite. When I was younger, me and my family would drive out to Washington to build a house together. I slept in a tent for 4 summers. I once got nicknamed Teepee Slayer because I shot an arrow into my family's new tent. I used to play violin from a very young age until 8th grade, and I was actually okay at it, and now I just lost all skill and ability. Although I have a cat, and I love him to death, and I would not ever give him up in my life, I am a dog person through and through. When I was younger, my mom and I were both scared of dogs. I'm pretty sure I was scared of dogs primarily because she was, and you know, when you're a daughter of a mom, I mean, that's how it works. But when you're a daughter, you tend to look up to your parents and you learn their fears, and most of the time you kind of get those fears. And so I think that's where I got my fear from dogs, was from her. But our first dog came to us on Mother's Day one year, and my mom was sitting back in the yard in her hammock, and there's this dog and it came out of the woods, and we were like, oh, go find your home, we'll put you in the right direction. And I was in the house hiding because it was a dog. My mom had run inside because she was hiding. But we thought that she was just lost. And then the next day she came back, and so we took her to the vet, and we found out that it seems like she used to be one of the dogs from a dog breeder, and she just couldn't produce what they wanted anymore, and so they just dropped her off into the woods. And so she became ours, and we loved her unconditionally. And then that's where I got my love of dogs. Yeah. I have been to horse camp twice. Yep. Horse camp. Twice. One of my favorite childhood memories is riding horses through the mountains with my friend Rosie and playing pretend up in the mountains and eating lunch at the top of the mountain with the horses by our sides. And it was just such a great time because like we were so carefree, and that's so amazing to think that when you were a kid you just didn't give a care in the world about anything, about anybody, and that's nice. Yeah. I was emotionally and verbally bullied through most of middle school and most of high school. They told me that the reasoning behind it was because I was an easy target. My first play was the summer after 4th grade, and I played an octopus that orchestrated music on an island. Yep. But I've been acting ever since, and I would never give it up, ever. So yeah, that's where I found my passion for acting, I guess, was when I was an octopus. My first and second kiss was the same first and second kiss that my best friend had. Not between us, but like, we both kissed the same 2 people. Yep. I used to have a speech impediment to where I couldn't say the beginning of words. It has this big long name for it, but I don't remember what it was, but I had it for quite a long time. I don't have it anymore, but I do sometimes stammer still, so yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I am a Pisces. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't like cooking. I almost got suspended from high school my senior year for a reason that I am not going to state. But I didn't. I didn't get suspended. I get distracted very easily when people are talking to me, even though I really do care and I really do want to know what they're saying to me and talking about, but sometimes it just, I can't actually focus on what they are saying. Math is my favorite core subject. Don't know why. I really don't see why it's my favorite, but it is. Like when you figure out a problem, it's just so satisfying to know how to do it and just like be able to do it over and over and in all these different scenarios, and wow, I'm a nerd. I only have 1 stamp in my passport, and that slightly makes me upset. I've never been someone who has a large quantity of friends, but the few select friends that I have had throughout like a young age, through college, and all of them are still sticking by me, and I can still go to them for anything, so I'm so grateful just for having them, even though I used to be jealous of the people who had all these millions of friends. I'm a college dropout. I am absolutely terrified of heights, but that does not stop me because I have a bigger fear of missing out. So even though my heart races and I want to physically drop down to the ground and not do anything that involves heights, I'll do it because I have a bigger fear of missing out on things. I think that has to do with pride, but you know what? Yeah. I love stories, but I have a hard time focusing when I read, so I don't get to read that often. I think it's something that you have to practice, is you have to read consistently in order to be able to focus very well on it, but I just can't focus, so I give up. on it, which is not a good thing. I chew the insides of my mouth and my lips whenever I get anxious. I come from a family of runners and I absolutely hate running. I fear people's disapproval of me, and that is something that I have been working on, and within this past year I have grown exponentially, but I still have a long way to go. I absolutely love hearing people's stories. Although I can't always focus on what people are saying to me, I love hearing their stories because you realize how different their lives are and how much you don't have in common with them. But then when you hear the few things that you do have in common, it's like we are here in the same moment, in the same time, for who knows what. But our lives are so different. Like, I just think I don't know how to put it into words, but that's just something I find so interesting to me. I wrote a book in elementary school about horses who could talk to each other and their adventures. I also wrote a book in middle school about mythology. I wrote a poem and it got published in a book in 5th grade. It was a book for children to like enter their poems into, and then they'd select several poems and put it into a book and publish it. And one of mine did. It was called A Country Girl. I know. Why? Like, I'm pretty sure I put better ones in, but they chose A Country Girl, and it was something along the lines of, it was just like, you can't see the sky in the city, but in the country you can, and that's great, and the rolling hills, blah 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 blah. I'm a country girl, not a city girl. And yet I'm moving to the city now. In 5th grade, I was actually in the 6th grade class because they didn't have an advanced class for 5th graders like most schools do. But it was a K through 12 school in a very small town, so it kind of made sense. I was homeschooled until 2nd grade. I played basketball for most of my childhood. All people are equal. Love is love. And lastly, I don't feel comfortable with labels. That might be because of where I am in life right now. But I completely understand why it can give people a comfort and power if they have a label. But for me, it doesn't do that. Yeah, I don't like labels. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about me and don't hate me now. But you know what? Maybe you do, and I'm sorry, but I'm not, because I'm working on not caring about people's disapproval of me. So give it a big old thumbs up and like, comment, share, subscribe. Have a great day, you guys. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you.